What is the best plant medicine for you? So, when people get on this plant medicine path, we think everyone should drink ayahuasca or take mushrooms or whatnot. I don't think that's true. I absolutely thought that was true 8 years ago, especially after my first ayahuasca, a couple ceremonies. So here's my take from my personal life experience, friends, clients, mistakes I've seen other people make, on how to decide what's really best for you. First off, I would invite you to consider that certain things are often not medicine or just not medicine. For example, ayahuasca over here only lives in the medicine world. You would never drink ayahuasca and go to a concert. You would never drink ayahuasca and go, this is a good time to go dancing at the club. You would never drink ayahuasca and do any of these things. On the other extreme, you have heroin and cocaine. Cocaine is not medicinal. It's not a plant medicine. There is no sacred Colombian or Peruvian cocaine ceremonies. However, coca leaf, if you hike Machu Picchu, they will give you coca leaves. You can see this cheek is a bit larger. That you will actually put there, and it'll create like a ball, kind of like I have one here, and it'll help with altitude sickness. It can cause more focus. It can, in Colombia, we have mambe, which is green, the same thing but powdered, and ambil. The mambe, the green, represents the feminine, which represents your feminine side, sharing your heart, sharing your words, talking, opening up. The brown, the tobacco, represents the masculine, being grounded, being here, being present. So those two go together. That's a form of coca that's used. Again, this is, what is it like? $25 for a pound. I don't know what a pound of cocaine costs, but it's probably tens of thousands or something, or like, I don't know. So it's important to think about what world do these things live in. So these are two extremes, right? Pure cocaine, ayahuasca. And then you have things like, I see more and more people talking about how marijuana is a medicine. I think it can be. And people virtually never use it as a medicine. I would say if you took all the people that smoked marijuana today in the world, I would be pretty surprised if 5% of them use them truly medicinally, ceremonially. This pisses off some people. I know quite a few of you. Let's be honest. Maybe not you that's watching. I know associates, friends, former friends, where it's organic. I dance and sing songs to the marijuana and it changes it. Whatever. If you smoke weed 5 times a week, you're probably a pothead. Or you probably have some, whatever you want to call it, some suppressed emotional stuff, or this is helping to push things away and to numb. Also something, let's say psilocybin, you can go, I did this earlier this year, I don't remember when, I took about 3 grams in a ceremony, in a ceremonial setting. So I was more over here, right? But you could also just take psilocybin and take a microdose and take 2 shots of Jack Daniels. Not really a ceremony. Is it being medicinal? I would say no. So to know first of where are you working with the thing? I had taken a bunch of MDMA and Molly in my younger years. I'd never taken it ceremonially. It was only at a club or with friends or around sex. It wasn't until I was in a certain relationship. I used it in a somewhat ceremonial context once, because I'd used it other times in a different way in that relationship. And then I did some different NLP processes on myself where I was the coach and I was also the client, but I was alone with MDMA, nothing else. That was it. It was incredibly powerful, one of my most powerful ceremonies I've ever done. So in that context, that's using a synthetic substance or drug, or you could call it a medicine in a medicinal way. What's really important is intention. What do you want to get from this? And also what I would invite you to consider is check everything what I say with you, or don't really listen to me. Because you got to know what gets you going. Why are you keep drawn to this thing? I really love Bufo. Most people that smoke Bufo do it once or twice and they don't really like it. I think it's amazing. I have another friend who feels he's more passionate than I am about it. For me, the medicines I've done the most for ceremonies is ayahuasca and Bufo. If you ask me in 10 years, I'll probably still like working with ayahuasca. Do I like puking? Does anyone like puking? No. However, if you've carried stuff in your nervous system, in your mind, or emotionally for years and for decades, think of it like this, and I know most of you watching this are guys, that's the idea. Think of it like you haven't taken a neurological shit in 20 years, or a mental shit, or an emotional shit. So you're carrying a lot of stuff with you. So the beautiful thing about ayahuasca, even though it does suck, once you start puking, that lasts a few minutes, maybe it comes back an hour later, whatever, it's not always fun. It's a different kind of puke that is such a, man, I just had a good one a couple weeks ago. I hadn't been to an ayahuasca retreat in years. Sometimes you might have the pleasure of working with ayahuasca and you actually know specifically what you're puking up. It's wild. It doesn't work like this every time or for everyone. Everyone's different. No two ceremonies are the same. But where you actually will go back in time and remember, oh, shit, that thing when I was 7, I haven't thought about that in 20 years. And then, blah. So with ayahuasca comes with the purge. It's uncomfortable. But again, with holding on to that emotional shit or in our nervous system or mental, we get used to being comfortable with the discomfort that's inside of us, and it can be uncomfortable coming up. But there's such a relief and a liberation of you don't have that inside you anymore. So how do you decide what's for you? What are you drawn to? What keeps coming up for you? And don't listen to me on saying marijuana is not used as a medicine necessarily, MDMA, LSD is another one. A lot of times they're not. Doesn't mean that's how it applies to you. Maybe you're really drawn to having a therapist with someone you know in some other country or does it underground, not that you do anything illegal. And you really want to do an LSD therapy with a trained therapist where it's legal, underground, in your country, in another country, then it sounds like you already know what to do. Sometimes we can research endlessly, want to talk to our spirit guides or angels or whatever, and get this illusion of certainty externally. Something in you already has a sense, and a deeper part of you already knows where you should be going. And also, medicines can open you up to other medicines. What you're drawn to first might be kind of the thing that needed to, just unlock the key and crack open the door, and then you walk towards something completely different. My first ever medicine was Kambo. I reached out to a person that popped up on a Facebook ad, I think, and it just seemed weird after I reached out to them. They were slow to reach back. I forgot, something seemed kind of shady. But I remember I was like, I really needed to reach out. Never done any medicine, nothing. This person, I don't know, fell through or whatever, it was something weird. Within, I don't know if it was like 2 days or 2 weeks, a friend that I've known for years, I don't know super well, but I know well enough, reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm gonna be in Chicago these dates. Would you wanna do Kambo? We do all 3 together, which is called the Vaccine of the Jungle. I was like, that's weird. I live in South America, in Colombia. Can't even hear the birds, they even agree. And I'm gonna be in Milwaukee and Chicago, for 10 days or 2 weeks during that exact time. I didn't believe in as much signs and kind of like callings of things. I was like, oh, maybe I should go there. Because I did those 3 combo ceremonies, not that fun. Combo, I still do it often enough for detox purposes, but it's not insights and these huge ahas like psilocybin, bufo, jopo, MDMA, ayahuasca, these different things. So did that I felt opened me up to ayahuasca. And then ayahuasca fell into my lap a few months later. And since then, more and more things in the last 6 months, this is 8 years ago, in the last 6 months, iboga and ibogaine keep showing up in my world where I'm like, okay, I have a pretty full year. I don't know if it'll be this year, but it looks like, and I knew it was coming since about last January. I was like, it's not yet. It's kind of coming. It's not even knocking at the door, but it's getting close. So I'm 99% sure, looked at a few places, I will be working with ibogaine or probably iboga, the more raw form, because that's what's showing up for me and that's what I feel in my intuition and my heart. So as we wrap this up now, what's really calling you? What's something that you read about as a kid? Or I was talking to another guy, he moved in an Airbnb and one of the books on the coffee table was about ayahuasca, and we were talking, and a few weeks later he bumps into some guy in the sauna talking about ayahuasca. I don't know if he's went or not yet, but what keeps showing up in your life? What are you drawn to that doesn't make, and as guys we often got to bypass this, that might not make any sense to your rational mind. It's just something that's calling you, whether you feel like you're pulled to it or it's pulled to you, or opportunities present themselves to do this. If you really feel you have the call, my recommendation to you, assuming you can do it quick, and sometimes we're full of shit, just to go. Just book the trip, do whatever. And I do find it's better to do the medicine in the country it comes from. I do not want to do iboga in Africa. I will probably do iboga in Africa. If you drink ayahuasca in San Diego, I'm sure it's great. It's not the same as drinking ayahuasca in Colombia or Peru or Brazil or Ecuador. And also to that, even with my ayahuasca experience, most of it's been outside Medellin, which is Colombia. However, drinking in the jungle, different. So what calls to you? Why do you think it's calling you? And are you listening or are you being afraid? I get it, I've been there. And lastly, medicine's not for everyone. There's tantra, there's breath work, there's meditation, all these things and more. What's calling you to take the next step? Towards what? To become not the next level of you, but an expanded version of you of what's already true. See you soon.